The Lord be with you. And with your spirit. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Glory to you, Lord. Jesus again in reply spoke to the chief priests and the elders of the people in parables, saying, "The kingdom of heaven may be likened to a king who gave a wedding feast for his son. He dispatched his servants to summon the invited guests to the feast, but they refused to come. A second time he sent other servants, saying, 'Tell those invited, behold, I have prepared my banquet. My calves and fatted cattle are killed, and everything is ready. Come to the feast.' Some ignored the invitation and went away, one to his farm, another to his business. The rest laid hold of his servants, mistreated them, and killed them. The king was enraged and sent his troops, destroying those murderers, and burned their city. Then the king said to his servants, 'The feast is ready, but those who were invited were not worthy to come. Go out, therefore, into the main roads and invite to the feast whomever you find.' The servants went out into the streets and gathered all they found, bad and good alike, and the hall was filled with guests. But when the king came to meet the guests, he saw a man there not dressed in a wedding garment. He said to him, 'My friend, how is it that you came in here without a wedding garment?' But he was reduced to silence. Then the king said to his attendants, 'Bind his feet and cast him into the darkness outside, where there will be wailing and grinding of teeth.' Many are invited, but few are chosen." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Don't be that guy. Have we ever found ourselves at a gathering or a social event, maybe even at school or work, turning to someone and saying, "Hey, look at that guy," or "What does that guy think he's doing?" And when we do say this, well, it's usually because that guy is doing something to stand out or at least draw attention to himself, and generally not in a good way. It's bad. It's bad. Hence the expression, "Don't be that guy." Are we familiar with that? And it sounds as though there was a that guy in Jesus' parable. And who is it? Well, this person that gets thrown out of the wedding feast for not having a wedding garment. And when we first hear the parable, it sounds harsh, right? Because we have this sense that the king invited people who maybe could not afford a wedding garment, and now one of them is being thrown out because he does not have one. But there's a note that can't get overlooked. Jesus explains that both the good and the bad are invited. The good and the bad. And so if we see this man without a wedding garment as being that guy, someone who is invited but then does not act appropriately, like wearing a tuxedo t-shirt to a black tie affair, we can understand why he's thrown out. And believe it or not, we can be that guy or that girl when we respond to Jesus' invitation to come to heaven, to come to the wedding feast, but through our actions, particularly our sinful actions, act in a way that is not worthy of that or fitting of that call. And so Jesus is warning us not to be that guy or that girl who accepts his invitation to be his follower, but lives in a way that does not represent that. And so what do we do? What do we do when we realize that we've been that guy or that girl again when it comes to our Christian life? Well, we have to ask for forgiveness. And when we do this, we will not be met with harshness, but with compassion and care. And this is what we hear in the prophet Ezekiel's reading, as well as in our psalm. We hear that the Lord will make us clean. And as Catholics, we have the sacrament of reconciliation, which does this, that forgives our sins and makes us whole, that wipes the dirt away, if you will, and restores our garment, making it fit for the wedding feast. And so, my brothers and sisters, let us not be that guy or that girl who accepts Jesus' invitation but does not live it out. Instead, let us be a man or a woman who lives their life for AMDG, for the greater glory of God, and as well for others.